Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my portable medium format camera, the Fuji GS645S. The Fuji GS645S, it's a pretty quirky camera. I picked it up on a Facebook deal once again. I feel like all of my purchases come from some sort of community-based film photography group. This camera popped up. I was very quick to snap it up at a very good price. I met up at the seller's place and he had taken very good care of it. He bought it brand new in Japan, came with a custom built case, the box still intact, the manuals, everything still there, and wow, was I amazed at the quality of this camera. It's even got the plastic on the bottom plate still. Really nice, beautiful camera. And it's something that I've been thinking about for a while, grabbing a camera like this. I've always wanted a Mamiya 7 and I know I'll own one day, but this camera here is sort of teaching me how I would possibly shoot with a Mamiya 7, because in my head, and after using it for a while now, it has been a beautiful way to test how a medium format rangefinder style camera would be in my hands. I'll tell you a little bit about the pros and cons I've found for shooting so far with this later in the video, but I'll show you a little walk around of the camera for now. All right, welcome to my backyard. This is an overview of the Fuji GS645S. The lens is just here. We've got the really cool looking cow bar protection for the lens here. Very unique to look at. It's Fuji 645 format. The option to shoot 120, you get 15 exposures, and you can shoot 220 for 30 exposures. There's a roll of film in here now, so I'm not going to shoot the camera itself, but there's a lock function, advanced lever. Moving on to the lens here, you can see all the settings here, and they're all controlled by these knobs. So this center one you can't see as well, so I'll move it over, but this is the aperture adjustment. You can see it stops down to f4 all the way up to f22. You can shoot from 1 second to 1/500th of a second, and then you got your focus here. You can focus as close as a meter up to infinity. The back of the camera's got this little plate. You can put whatever film you're shooting, so you remember. You got your rangefinder up here. Bottom is bottom of the camera. You can put your batteries in here. Looking through here, I wonder if you'll be able to see. Nah. It's really hard to demonstrate what the rangefinder looks like, so I'll show you some B-roll now. And we're back, that's what it looks like. Yeah, pretty simple camera. The grip is really chunky. It's really good to hold in the hand. Yeah, really nice. So this camera here, it's medium format. It shoots 645 format, which is the smallest to negative in the medium format scale. It's 2.5 times larger than a 35mm negative, which is really nice if you're looking for a lot of detail. This will help you capture a whole heap of detail, especially if you're shooting a lot of landscapes, anything like that. Really handy to use medium format if you want large scale detail. Cool things about this camera that I had never experienced prior to shooting one, it's got all of the controls on the lens in a handheld format, which is really cool. Very unique to this. All the shutter speed, the aperture, the ISO, the focusing, everything is on the lens. You'll have to get used to what knob does what if you are bringing the camera up to your eye and changing settings on the fly, which is a good exercise for anybody using the camera itself. And another thing that makes this camera quite desirable for some is the fact that it's a rangefinder camera. Very cool, very handy to have a rangefinder style viewfinder. Much lighter, much more portable, which is a really big star feature for this camera here. So as discussed, I'm gonna go over a couple pros and cons I've found after shooting this camera for about 6 months now. I've used it quite a lot, put a number of rolls through it now. Had a great time, but I have found some things that I need to work on, as well as some of the things that I just absolutely love about it. So we'll start with the pros. First of all, it's very, very portable. Amazing. It's so good that I can take a camera of this quality with glass of this quality out and about in a way that isn't as cumbersome as my RZ67. Being able to put a camera strap on it, hang it off the side, and put it away when I need to, and actually have hands to do whatever I need to do in life means that I can take this more places that I would my RZ and still be able to shoot with amazing quality. Speaking of quality, the lens on this camera is super sharp. It has delivered some amazing colors, whether that's testament to the film I'm using, how I'm shooting it, or anything like that. Having a really nice lens has been a big key factor in getting nice results. The lens itself is 60mm, stops all the way down to f4, which is really, really nice and sharp. It's about a 35mm equivalent. This has been quite a challenge. I'm used to shooting in a 50mm focal length, so it's kind of nice to have a bit more wide angle. So that's also just brought a ton of enjoyment for myself anyway. One of the cool things about this camera is that in its usual shooting style, when I'm holding it like this, the orientation of the negative of the image itself is actually vertical. If you're using a lot of images from film and putting it onto Instagram or anything that's kind of consumed in a vertical landscape, in a vertical, what even is the word? In a vertical format, this is kind of handy. You can bring it up to your eye and shoot just like this, and it's already in a vertical format. It just means that if you want to shoot a landscape, you hold it this way, which is kind of quirky. And one of the big pros for me is that this camera is just, the design is so unique, but also very attractive. I love the way that when you've got your camera strap on it, it hangs on your side and is kind of hanging like this. I think that's really cool. The cow bar attachment that Fuji installed on this to protect the lens mount, which I'll get to later, definitely has gotten people asking, what is this camera? It looks kind of different, so gets people interested in that way, which is pretty cool. But this kind of leads me into the cons list. The big thing that I have found, and early on in shooting this camera, is that the lens mount is quite fragile. When I took this out the first time, the first roll I put through it, I was sweating because the lens mount actually cracked, and I thought that was it. I thought the camera was done. I thought there were light leaks. It's going to be hard to fix. Currently, I've put some black electrical tape over it to kind of keep it stealthy and keep any potential light leaks out. But that caused a lot of stress for myself, being that it's a brand new camera, I haven't shot a single roll and it could already be broken. That was really, really stressful. Another thing that I found difficult about this camera so far is that the rangefinder patch is quite hard to see when you haven't got it up to your eye properly. In bright situations as well, it can be really hard to see the actual rangefinder patch. So that's also been a challenge. Nailing focus is very important if you're trying to take nice pictures, which most of us, all of us, want to do in this space. So being able to focus and having a larger rangefinder patch would have been really nice. And another thing that I've found to be a bit of a challenge, I wouldn't quite say it's a con, but I found it a bit challenging, is just having all of the controls on the lens itself with no real way to see what you're shooting through the rangefinder. Yes, there's a meter in the rangefinder, but you need to remember what shutter speed you've set your camera to, what aperture you've set your camera to. I guess you could kind of set yourself into shutter priority and just move the aperture dial, or vice versa. It can be a challenge to remember what settings you've got, and you'll find yourself taking it off your eye quite a lot to see what settings, or at least I have anyway. And another little thing, which is definitely just user error and a skill issue, is because the camera is a rangefinder, you're not looking directly through the lens, you're looking through here instead of here. This thing here has cost me so many frames, because when I'm looking through my rangefinder and I haven't taken the lens cap off, it's just a blank photo and I miss it, and there goes that frame on that roll of film. So it's definitely an expensive mistake, and it's obviously just user error, but it's something that I have been conscious of, and it still happens to me even when I'm trying to be on top of it. So to close out, I'm gonna show you some sample photos now. But yeah, really love this camera. So far it's treated me really well. I had a bit of a rocky start with it, with the lens mount causing me quite some grief and a lot of stress, but so far so good. I've put through heaps of rolls through this now, and I can definitely see this continuing to stay in my toolkit. I've been treating it as like sort of a gateway or a feeling of what a Mamiya 7 might be like, even though it is a little bit different, being that it doesn't have interchangeable lenses. It's still a rangefinder medium format camera, and I'd encourage maybe picking one up and trying it yourself before you throw some cash at a Mamiya 7 if that's a camera that you would really like as well. In the future, this is a good way to test whether that's a camera that you'll be able to shoot, something that you like to shoot for a way more affordable price tag. If you enjoyed the video, hit like, hit subscribe. Really, really fun making these. Follow me on Instagram too. I post most of my photos there. And if you have any thoughts on the Fuji GS645S or any tips, be sure to leave a comment so you can help me get better at shooting with this thing. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.